going.
Greetings, good people.
Good evening to you.
Good evening, boss.
How are you doing?
Good evening. This is Leo Gilling on one of the finest shows around town, and especially because this evening we're hosting some of the finest, most historic individuals across Jamaican reggae music, across Jamaican music overall. We have with us Herbie Miller. I don't have to make any introductions about that. I have Luther, and Luther coming out of Canada. I don't have to make no introductions about that either. And we have the third of the three, Elaine Thompsons, and she's gonna tell us later on how fast she ran when she was running. And welcome everybody to another episode of the Leo Gilling Show. This evening we're hosting some really great persons. We have one more person to come on, but we're going to be talking about Reggae Month, Blsck History Month. Blsck History is being celebrated across the United States, across Canada, and we have our own Blsck History Month in Jamaica, where we celebrate Reggae Month during the month of February. And February has some really great personalities, their birthdays. Here is the indomitable Miss Elaine Thompson, runner from the 19 when, and now she's here to join us.
You know what? I'm just gonna take it. All of it.
I hear you. All right.
How are you, gentlemen? Good to be with you.
Hi, Miss Thompson.
Good evening.
Hello.
Before we start,
sent to Leo.
Go ahead.
I sent to Leo before you appeared.
Yeah.
That you'll be my third Elaine Thompson queen. Well, one I know extremely very, very well because she just happens to be my wife.
Oh wow.
And herself a runner for Titchfield. She used to pass the baton on to Miss Rosie Hallwood.
Yes, I remember Rosie.
Indeed, at Sabina Park and that stadium.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And now you.
Now you.
So what's special about you?
Me? Wow.
There's got to be something special about you.
It's called in cricket terms a hat trick.
Aye.
It's called in the art circle a triptych. And it's called in another friend of mine with two sisters, all born about a minute and a half apart, a triplet.
Oh, wow.
So that's what's special. I get to meet people in threes.
That's
I guess you have people in threes now.
Well,
There you go.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, let me do some introductions. I have some interesting bios here. So allow me, I want to welcome everybody here in the various platforms. We are on Twitter, Jamaicans.com, on Facebook, on YouTube, and also on LinkedIn. And I'm sure the guys at Reggae North are also streaming somewhere. First of all, let me get the Reggae North, a sponsor in this event. On January 12, 2020, at the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic, Reggae North launched its first edition of their online magazine, ReggaeNorthCanada.com. 3 years later, it has been recognized, awarded, and lauded by many in its consistency, accuracy, informative, and relevance in the Canadian reggae community and beyond. Reggae North recognized that many talented artists were creating music in Canada, so they decided to develop the platform where they profile and wrote articles focusing on artists, journalists, and people who have and are still contributing into the reggae aspect of the Jamaican culture in Canada. Since its inception, they have recorded a steady growth in the number of visitors to their website and the return readership increasing weekly. Today, the website attracts several thousand visitors weekly, and they plan to keep attracting new visitors. That's Reggae North. And then here's Luther Brown, very interesting man. Luther C. Brown, his career as an educator has spanned over 30 years. He has been principal at 5 public schools, Lord, a journeyman, and 2 as vice principal. He has also worked as producer and a host of the Caribbean Crucible, a radio program that aired on the former CHRY 105.5 FM for over 25 years. On Sundays, for 3 hours, listeners would tune in into the Crucible to listen as he broadcast great music and shared his knowledge about music, Black culture, and things happening in the community and elsewhere. He was the principal of the Afrocentric Alternative School in Toronto. The retired educator is completing a doctoral degree in educational leadership and policy at the Ontario Institute for Studies in Education and at the University of Toronto. The indomitable Elaine Thompson, as you can see, spent many years as station manager at 105.5 FM and worked for 20 years in radio broadcasting as an on-air personality at various radio stations in Toronto and in Jamaica. Her name is still revered, yes, by many who remembers her for her contributions in the community and her popular Saturday morning shows in Toronto. Elaine is not only a radio host, but also an entrepreneur, real estate broker, and insurance broker. With over 20 years of experience, she is a proud owner of Sarpo Global Realty as an insurance license producer or broker. She offers insurance and investment products. Elaine has a vast knowledge of Jamaican music and contribution to the world. And lastly, but certainly not the least, I picked up something on our friend Herbie Miller. And I did not know that Herbie cooked, but I'm gonna read what this Herbie Herbert Miller is first director and curator of the Jamaica Music Museum, Institute of Jamaica, where he plays a vital role in establishing and shaping of what he hopes will become a major cultural institution. During his early years, he managed Peter Tosh throughout the pinnacle of his career when he recorded Legalize It, Equal Rights, Bush Doctor, Mystic Man, Wanted, Dread, or Alive, and when he toured extensively across the world, including his tours with Rolling Stones. Herbie has written and published just more than 20 songs. He produced Big Youth Singing 10, which was released on CD album, A Luta Continua. What is that? What does that mean, Herbie?
It means the struggle continues.
Oh, wow. Okay, thank you so much. Is
And
that
I might add, and victory is sure.
Oh, wow. A Latin that?
Portuguese.
Portuguese, okay. 2 of those songs have been used in Hollywood movies. Feel It was featured in Jonathan Demme film's Something Wild, and Survival Plan was used in Demme in the film The Manchurian Candidate, starring Denzel Washington. He loves music in general, including ethnic music such as around the world, such as Indian, Japanese, Chinese, African, Brazilian, Afro-Cuban, and so on, but pays most attention to ska, reggae, and the other Jamaican forms. We have a lot to talk about that this evening. Jazz, however, is music of choice. We never know that at all. He loves to cook and entertain small groups of friends who he thinks cooking he can present to them and make them feel good. So, ladies and gentlemen, there goes our panel this evening for the next couple of hours.
My business out the door.
Welcome, everybody. Welcome to you. All right, so let's start off. We don't need any more introduction. We just want to dig deep into Reggae Month. So I'm going to ask Herbie to start off. What is Reggae Month about, and why is it called Reggae Month?
Some years ago, or present Minister of Culture, Oliver Grange, among many others, convened a series of meetings where we just get together and reason about the state of our music and culture in general. And at the end of it, those in attendance gave an idea of what they intended to do with all of we had gained from these conversations. And one of the entities that emerged out of that is Jaria. And of course, I started out at the Institute of Jamaica at about the same time. But the concern among some was that February, Black History Month was celebrated, and that as a Black nation, we didn't really, it wasn't something that was necessary in the minds of some. Not in my mind. It is as crucial today as it ever was, perhaps even more so. And so Reggae Month came out of that. If you notice all of the things I do during the month of February, it's Reggae/Black History Month. And while every month to me is Black History Month, here is a month through which we can focus on a lot of things having to do with our heritage and so on. And so Reggae Month offers an opportunity for so many, in fact, it is so full of activities that one is at a loss to attend as many as one would want to, simply because there are so many things to do. And in a nutshell, it has grown to become, in fact, this year, we are doing Reggae Month in other parishes in Montego Bay, for
Right, that's nice to hear. I also noticed that Bob Marley, Dennis Brown,
It's Brown's birthday, Bob Marley's birthday. Dennis's is the 1st of June, I think. But Bunny Ruggs' birthday, among so many others, yeah.
Dennis is the
So
first
it's
of
really a calendar event. It's full of activities, as I said.
So you want to jump in, Elaine? What's your thought on Reggae Month? Give us your thought. Have you been doing things here in Canada on Reggae Month?
Not so much. I think the focus here in Canada is more on Black History Month, as opposed to Reggae Month. I think Reggae Month is a Jamaica thing. Yes. It was originated there, and for the most part, that's what's celebrated there. Okay. In pretty much with the kind of focus that we have on Black History Month here.
Okay, that's interesting. Okay, and
yeah,
and then Luther, chime in. Have you involved in any kind of Reggae Month activity? Because in America we do a lot of Reggae Month stuff.
Oh,
I think there are many Reggae Month things going on, but for me, my focus is on education. I am still, although retired, active in education. And so Black History Month is what is celebrated. And the focus is beginning to look a little bit differently, because now there is some greater emphasis being played on Black history of Canadian Blacks. Mm-hmm. Typically, we talk about Black history, everybody learn much about the major names of Black history in America. And so there's some movement to look at people from within the Canadian community. And that would include artists, that would include writers and political activists, etc. I believe Reggae Month is important because from the standpoint of Jamaica's marketability around reggae, I think it's important for Jamaica to have Reggae Month. It is a time to sort of focus on what is easily one of our greatest exports. Whether it is a great export in terms of income coming back to Jamaica or just export in terms of cultural impact on the world. And I think part of the reality check is that Jamaica isn't doing as much to celebrate reggae as Jamaica should be doing. So I think it's important. And I salute you, my brethren.
And not just reggae, but Jamaican music. Because
yeah, well, I said reggae partly because that is Reggae Month. We're talking about Reggae Month.
Yeah.
Well, you can use it in a generic term, you know, to cover.
Yes, and that is also another part of it. Reggae has become known in a way as Jamaican music. So so most of the things that come up out of Jamaica gets tagged with reggae, whether it is reggae or not. Rocksteady is tagged as reggae, and Rocksteady isn't quite reggae.
Yeah, no, neither is ska, but it's reggae.
Yeah, but once it's out of Jamaica, it becomes reggae. You know, what are we going to do? Say, oh, mentor ska, this, that, dub.
Reggae is a nice umbrella.
Just call it reggae, and that's the end of the question.
Well,
I'm totally with you on that.
Right.
But let me ask Lucy a question though.
Yeah, man.
As your focus is on education, there's nothing I do, absolutely nothing, that does not have an educational component to it. And you being in well, both you and Elaine are in Canada, right? Or just you?
Canada.
All right.
Canada,
I don't know if you can have a look at this thing. Can you see what it says?
Jamaica, Sierra Leone, something.
Oh, yeah, Jamaica, Sierra Leone. Okay, family reunion. When is that?
It went last Thursday.
Oh, okay.
That's one of the things I did for Reggae Month.
Okay.
I focused on the Second Maroon War, where just over 600 Maroons were shipped to Nova Scotia. From Nova Scotia to Sierra Leone.
Yep.
Well, from Central and West Africa to Jamaica, to Nova Scotia, to Sierra Leone. And at the end of enslavement, back to Jamaica to work as indentured workers or their descendants who came back. And so that's one of the things I did for Reggae Month.
Yeah,
and for me, that's using music not merely as entertainment, but bringing what Garvey has left me with is that whatever we do, it must be in the interest of the uplift of the race. Now, I've been showing you that. Just bear with me a minute now. Take a look at this one.
Society, sounds and society.
It says Sounds and Society. 60 years of music, political activism, and social change. This program is called Grow Nation. It's the 11th year I'm doing it. And the first Sunday, the subtopic was music and political advocacy, colonialism, federation, and independence, with a number of speakers. The second Sunday, last Sunday, was called Fire Burning, Music, Governance, and Dance. On Sunday coming, it's called Running from Jamaica, Capitalism, Socialism, and Cold War Politics.
Stay right there. Stay right there. I wanna approach that because it's the same topic.
Let me just tell you the title of the last Sunday, and then I'll show.
Okay.
I can't believe it. The title of a Mikey Smith poem, Ambushing the Night. Now, why would I choose titles such as those? To jump and prance and sing and dance?
Education.
All right.
All right. So I want that a third topic,
Yes.
because we've had, and this is for everybody. We started with Mentor. I also want to ask you where Mentor come from, but Mentor, we went to ska, we went to rocksteady, and then there's a branch off of various forms. Yes. And we've been struggling. It's been 60 odd years now, like 63 years now, since our first entry into our own music. And then all of a sudden in the 80s, I saw reggaeton came off and spin off and just make billions of dollars. I mean, still making billions of dollars. And then all of a sudden, you see Africans start rolling in now and start saying, hey, we need a piece of this. They come out with the Afrobeat, that's a spin-off of reggae, and they will make billions of dollars. And they have been able to quantify those dollars in real terms. And we can't do the same thing. I mean, talk to me, guys.
That is an interesting phenomenon. One of the things to look at is that when you are the source of something, you tend not to pay attention to the fruits that it is supposed to bear. You look after the roots. Other people who have tasted your fruit recognize it for what it is, which is outside of the context of where the roots come from. And they, having tasted the mango, realize that you can do mango chutney, you can do mango this, you can do mango that, and they start to market it because they're also involved in a different kind of marketing space than Jamaica is in. We make the records in Jamaica. We go to the studios, we produce them, and there is not the marketing facility sufficiently distributed to get them out. I mean, there are companies that are doing very, very well on reggae music that are Jamaican companies.
But why not?
Those are individual entrepreneurs or businesses. Like I'll tell you, I remember when Randy's was at Parade.
Parade.
And I remember going in there and see the artists them come with them record and trying to sell, and see Miss Chin selling like crazy, and see when a tune drop out, nobody can get hand on it.
But that's
local.
That's still local.
And it is still going on.
Right.
Local.
So why is it that it cannot be transformed into?
Because we do not have the mechanisms in place to help the small entrepreneur get the work out. If I can find somebody to support my product, like, okay, so Island Record is a Jamaican company, but Island Record had a different kind of root system, a different kind of distribution system set up, and a different kind of way to monetize things. And so Island Record jump on it, and Island is international, and it goes with it.
I understand.
Coxsone couldn't do that because Coxsone, although Coxsone provided and produced all of that material, the bulk of Coxsone's work was to produce excellent music, or Treasure Isle, or Miss Pottinger.
I want to hear Elaine. Give me your thoughts, Elaine.
Well, Luther said one word that should resonate with everyone, and that's marketing, right? I think that enough focus is not placed, and enough dollars are not attributed to marketing reggae outside of Jamaica.
I mean, intentional marketing.
Intentional, absolutely.
Because we do a damn good job of marketing the product. I think so.
Okay, no. So can I just jump back in? Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
I can't finish. Hold on, man.
Go ahead.
What you thought? Go ahead.
How do you quantify that when you say you think who are we that does a good job at marketing? Though, who are you referring to?
The thing is, if you anywhere in the world that you go, you mention the term reggae, everybody knows about it. That is come from Jamaica, and especially when you talk about you speak a little patois along with the music. It's really endemic. It's well known across the world. And so why is it that the marketing, the dollar is not following the marketing that's there? So, you know.
Well, don't forget, the international scene is different from the local scene in Jamaica. When you come outside of Jamaica, the gatekeepers are different. They look different. They behave differently. It's a whole different power dynamic.
I'm gonna come to you, Herbie, but he wants to step in there. Go ahead and finish your thought. What's his name, Luther?
One of the big difference, and I need to be clear about this. This is not to say Jamaica is not marketing, and this is not to say Jamaican marketing is deficient, etc. This is to say that the infrastructure to support the small producer isn't there.
Okay.
When you talk about the Jamaican music being available at all odd places in the world, a lot of it comes from individual artists or individual producers shipping something to a friend overseas, and they in turn spreading it out. Or with the internet now, people are connecting with things and are demanding it differently. But the demand is also coming through small networks, right? In terms of airplay, you can name the streaming places, and we don't own them.
I'm going to take Herbie now. Herbie, you have a whole thing to respond.
We're talking about all the musics that have come out of Jamaica. Take ska, for example. There are so many ska bands across the world, wherever you go, including in Russia. There are ska bands.
I know.
There's not one ska band in Jamaica.
Right. Okay.
Now, I'm going to also say this, and if someone can set me straight on this, I'll accept it. As far as I know, Jamaica has produced only one ska band. One genuine band that played ska. Not two. One. The Scatterlights. Other bands played music and some ska.
Yes.
The Scatterlights played ska. Okay. And I don't know if any of the panelists know something that I don't. That's how I see it.
And listen,
Okay.
I've traveled
As a band,
across. One second, Lou. I've traveled across the United States, and I've seen these bands all across California, all across Chicago. These ska bands are playing ska music better than ever in the world. And so I agree with you, but it's still not translating. Go ahead, Luther.
Well, in terms of Scatterlights recorded ska, but they also recorded other things.
Like what?
So jazz.
How many jazz they record?
They recorded, so they have a two beautiful jazz album with.
But that's not the Scatterlights.
Oh,
you mean the Jazz at the Workshop? Tommy McCook is on it. Roland Alphonse and Don Drummond is on it. The drummer is Carl McLeod. The bassist is Sarge from Up Camp. The pianist is Cecil Lloyd. The trumpeter is Billy Cook.
So it's not the full Scatterlights band, you're saying?
But you guys are going away from the question. The question is, why aren't we taking advantage of one of the best piece of asset in the world?
I'll give you one way that I believe that Jamaica.
Herbie.
Sorry, go ahead, Herbie.
Elaine and Luther are talking about marketing and support. By whom? Who should be doing this marketing and supporting of our music? Who are we looking for assistance from? Who's supposed to be putting in the infrastructure?
Okay,
That's
so
the
let me
Okay,
answer that in two ways. The Jamaican government, the Jamaican entrepreneurial organizations, the Jamaican business sector are supposed to find ways
supposed
to
to.
work together. Yeah, that's what
Supposed to.
yes.
In other words, it's their
Okay.
responsibility to do that.
I am suggesting that they have a responsibility to put in place facilities to support the products that we are creating. Now, I know that if we're looking about marketing bananas and so on, we look to certain government sectors to set up the infrastructure and to negotiate for the international markets, et cetera, et cetera. That is also true for reggae music. But we have, to some extent, depended on the entrepreneurial skills of the small independent producer to take the work elsewhere to benefit from the reggae name that is out there. But
Ellen, more you jump in and take on the man. Don't just sit back and be quiet. All right. Your name Ellen Thompson. You're the fastest runner in the world. All right. So okay. All right.
Listen.
Exactly.
You know what? The approach to support reggae as a product should be the same approach that is taken with tourism, for example, right? So there's a lot of resource that goes into marketing Jamaica as a destination spot, and so on, and all of the money and marketing that goes with that. I think that if some of that focus can be shifted to one of the greatest products of Jamaica, which is reggae, I think that we will find that it really, really expands.
You see why I want to talk?
There,
because
right?
That's a great answer, you know, in creating
really?
an agency like the tourism sector that spends a lot of money out there and a lot of trouble in getting people to come to Jamaica.
Let me just remind all three of you of something.
Okay. Talk to me.
We used to have something we call the tourist season. What time of the 12 months of the year was that again?
Christmas and summer.
No, between.
No, wouldn't that be between December and March, I think?
Precisely.
Yeah.
Today, what's the tourist season?
Not tourist season. It's right year round now.
Why?
Because of the marketing that's put in that. Because of the
which marketing?
What's
marketing?
Do you think it just happens in a vacuum? You think
I don't know.
It just happen. There's an intention.
I can tell you which marketing.
Intentional work that was done.
I can tell you which marketing.
You tell me, Luther.
Go ahead, Luther.
Yeah, I can tell you which marketing. The Minister of Tourism has come to Toronto gazillions of times.
I've interviewed him a few times.
But hold on, Luther, stop right there.
You said which marketing?
No, stop right there. So the Minister of Tourism, who does a hell of a great job, but how did this? What's the foundation of this great job? It was only 4 months of the year. Where was he to turn it into a whole year thing?
Okay, but you're missing the point. You're missing my point. My point is not to say that we must follow the model exactly. My point is to say there is a model out there that we can use and advance it to do the work that we needed to do. There are other aspects as well. For example,
hold on, stop first. So the minister comes out on a tour.
Hold on.
What do you think the reggae artists have done for the last 50 years?
Who bring the reggae artists out there?
Not the Minister of Tourism.
But who did that?
So we
have own initiative.
It is local entrepreneurs who saw a product, picked it up, brought it over to Canada, had a great show. Somebody else see it, took it bring it to some places, see a great show, and so on. So, but that is organic marketing that is supposed to continue. But if you're looking for more than just right now and looking for down the road, then I think there are some other things that we can do. Jamaica, for example, every tourist that comes to Jamaica should be able to go to some place in Jamaica and experience awesome reggae any night of the week that they come. And they shouldn't have to wait for they shouldn't have to wait for major things like Rebel Salute
any
or
night
this or
in
that.
Jamaica, there's a live show taking place.
I'm sorry?
Any night.
All right, let me take some comments.
No. Let me just answer the question that no one has answered.
Okay, go ahead.
The foundation on which tourism has become a perennial product is called Reggae Sunsplash.
Oh, that's
when it started. That's when all these other countries whose focus was not a vacation in Jamaica, that was Canada, North America, and Britain. Today we have Spanish hotels, this hotel, that hotel, and every single night in Jamaica, something is happening. Every night.
All right, so let me just
it has become something, listen to me now, something that has helped tourism. So, what's his name, Mr. Bartlett, can now go around.
Whichever minister.
Hold on, don't take any new thoughts. No more new thoughts yet. No more new thoughts yet. Let me just acknowledge some people who are online and following you guys, okay? There's a gentleman or lady by the name of Media Biz, says the government should put in infrastructure, benefits the brand Jamaica. And then Reggae Boy 9, thanks for organizing this useful discussion, Leo. Enough respect. Juliet Rowe, good evening, gentlemen, and also Elaine. Jones Dolores says, I remember Rosie while she was Happy Grove before heading to Titchfield. Okay. Good day, Letrave. Karen Leo, greetings and blessings from the UK. Omar Francis says, good evening. The car and 3 other persons are on. Tanya Mullins, as Hyacinth Campbell, Sharon Bryan, Clifford Porteous, all are listening, and other persons. So I want to recognize each of you that's there. Beverly Frey says, first of all, Jamaican music, where did she say there should be an academy of reggae music in Jamaica, just like it is in the French, in France. And then first of all, Jamaica has to play reggae on the radio, etc. So those are good comments coming in. Thank you guys for your comments. I want to challenge these guys. I love the idea, by the way. You know, I know what you're saying about Sunsplash was one of those things that helped our tourist industry and our reggae music. And when it got toured across the world, when Sunsplash started to move across the world, was when things started to look even better for us. And so thanks for Tony Bennett. Was it who was that producer? Tony Johnson. Respect to the work that he's done.
Ronnie Burke.
Exactly.
John Wakelin. And goodness.
Yes.
All right, the name slips me now. Don Green.
Yeah, man. Respect to all of them, because it has you still have vivid memories of the ones that you went.
It's the mother of all of the reggae.
Yes,
absolutely
reggae,
true. Yes,
festivals across the world.
Absolutely. I'm going to take you back into history here a little bit. Tell me about the introduction of mentor music in Jamaica. There's something else that I want to talk about on that part that we just finished talking about, but I want to go back into history a little bit. Where did mentor music come from, Mr. Miller?
Why are you picking on me?
You're supposed to know.
By the way, a Reggae Academy or whatever the listener was talking about, yes. Where do you think the greatest set of musicians Jamaica produced came out of? They came out of the Stone Hill Approved School and the Alpha Boys School.
So today, are they the academy?
We call it academy, call it school, call it whatever you want to call it. It came out of those institutions. There are institutions. Today we have the Edna Man, the College for the Performing and Visual Arts, that almost all the young musicians you see touring today are tutored.
Okay.
I want to go back to the beginning of what was started. Afrobeat is not something new. Afrobeat started with Fela Kuti and Chief Commander Ebenezer Obey, and among others. Afrobeat artists Sonia Cousin, Sonia Day,
Sonia Cousin, yeah.
All of them were signed to Island Records, Virgin Records. That's Afrobeat. It has just become a young people's thing now. Even Fela's son, Femi Kuti, I think Femi went as far as winning a Grammy. So it's nothing new. It's new to these young people who don't know history.
So are you saying it's not a spin-off of reggae?
No, it's not. Afrobeat has been there on its own.
So why is word going around that it's a spin-off of reggae? Where did that come from?
Because Jamaican people claim everything and say we are the best at everything. It's just
okay, I disagree with you on that.
I disagree with that.
I would disagree with you on that. There is an interconnectionality, an intersectionality that is always there.
That emerged out of Jamaican music.
Yeah, they basically reinvented it.
Hold on. If Island Record, which was largely involved in reggae music production, when world music became a thing, they had a lot of world music. So musicians from across the world that they were working with. You cannot put 15 people in a room from different places and they don't influence each other. So when, for example, Chris Blackwell figured that he should take a blues guitarist and add to Wailers, it changed the way Wailers sound, but it was still reggae. And so what has happened is that the Afrobeat that was coming out of the island era that you're talking about with all of those players and so on, they were also influenced by the reggae that was coming out of Jamaica. The other thing too is that reggae has a certain sort of stylistic about it, that the moment you hear it, you know it. And a lot of the Afrobeat right now is taking on what Steely and Clevie and Sly and Robbie were doing over time.
I want to hear Elaine now. You were going
to listen.
Agree.
Well, I mean, it's I see Afrobeats as it is now as a spin-off, if you will, or they have reinvented the music to what we are experiencing now, right? But let's just circle back a little bit to the whole tourist product.
Are you moving
right?
over?
No, just really quickly. I'm just going to say this, that the effect that Sunsplash had on tourism has not transferred to the music, right?
If you look at
yeah, but understand.
Right, but okay, allow me to finish my thought.
All right, sorry.
Right. For example, look at the influence of Bob Marley worldwide. Why hasn't that translated into success for reggae, period? Because I think an important piece that we're missing, and it's obvious why folks who live in Jamaica, for example, and involved in the music industry misses this very crucial part, is that in places like Canada, for example, and when we talk about marketing, we also have to talk about access, right? Let's just look at Canada for a minute in terms of access. The media is controlled by very few, and they determine what gets attention, right? Canada is touted as one of, if not the most multicultural country, right? There are almost 30% of immigrants, or 30% of the Canadian population comes from everywhere else in the world. folks come with their culture, they come with their food, they come with their music. Now, on any given day, you cannot tune into a commercial radio station or any media outlet and hear anything that sounds like reggae, for example. And this is true for other forms of music as well. So the access is not there. It doesn't matter how much marketing you're going to do.
Let me kind of respond to that. I don't think Canada, I think Canada is unlike any other country like the United States, because I can't say that it is the same thing in the United States.
No.
Because there are so many reggae outlets in America, and reggae music is playing on mainstream across America, not just.
Oh, I know that.
It's right across, all right? But I'm glad you brought up the Marley thing there earlier, because Marley the Marley family has shown us how to brand reggae music, how to market reggae music, how to make money off of reggae music. And I see their way of doing reggae as a means that where other artists and other guys can do the same. They don't need the tourist industry to create brand Marley the way that they are. And because there should be brand Dennis Brown, and there should be brand Jimmy Cliff, and brand all of these guys.
Yes, but
we're not doing it. And so the young,
and why is that? Why is
young
that?
Marleys who didn't have what Bob Marley have, is taking what Bob did that we're not doing with the rest of the guys who are out on Ellis's of the world and do the same thing. That's what
maybe because we don't teach each other. We don't give each other access to the knowledge that we have. We don't mentor each other, and we don't seek out the knowledge from those who have done it. So for example, and I'm not singling them out, the Marley power structure, are they doing enough to mentor, for example, other artists and to expand the music in other ways? Do
they have that
I don't know, maybe they are. I don't know.
Okay, maybe they don't have that responsibility. Maybe they have.
I'm not saying, back to my point, we don't do it. And maybe that's what's needed.
Now, I asked a question earlier on. Who are we expecting to do that? Who has done it for the Marleys?
Okay, let me tell you, for example, I remember Shaggy coming out the other day or some time ago and said, you know what, I'm willing to mentor anyone who needs me to do that for them. Come and see me. I will tell you, I will teach you the business of the reggae music and getting the product out there. I'll tell you how the commercial part of it is done. Seek me out. I have the information. I have the knowledge. I'll teach you how to copyright your stuff and what happens in the industry on the economics of it. And later on, I heard him make a comment that nobody has sought him out. I don't know if that has changed, but nobody jumped on that.
I don't think it has changed. I think Shaggy has that kind of thing. But talk about Shaggy. There's brand Shaggy. There's brand Sean Paul. I mean, these guys do. There's brand Shabba. But so I guess I'm kind of holding on to Herbie's argument of who's responsible, because there's not a responsibility. But I do see.
Okay. So I'd like to come in here.
There could be an entity in Jamaica, because we do have.
Who is supposed to set up that entity?
Ministry. The ministry.
Which ministry in America set up? Which ministry in any other country?
No, we can't use that.
They don't.
We cannot use that. No, here. Hold on.
In any other country, which entity set up that?
We can do
it. Let me explain something for a minute.
More dependent on the government than anybody else in the world. But go ahead.
We cannot look at Jamaica and the US and put them
No, no,
side
no.
by
I
side.
stop right there.
Let me finish. Let me finish. Let me finish.
Any other.
Let me finish. Let me finish. You cannot put US and Jamaica side by side as countries in terms of this fight or this struggle. The US is decidedly entrepreneurial.
Capitalist.
That's what they
100%.
that's their brand.
Mhm.
And they are set up to support entrepreneurs to take those kinds of risks and make it work for them. No, not every entrepreneur is going to get it, but some do. The Marleys are entrepreneurs. They are making use of the reggae brand and the financing that comes to them through sources probably outside of Jamaica, probably inside of Jamaica. Brand Shabba can occur because Shabba will also have access to funds inside and outside of Jamaica based on his history and his practice. Those are entrepreneurs. The little guy from Redwood, from Dover Castle in St. Catherine, who is an entrepreneur making his music and trying to get it out, don't have that access, regardless of how good the music is. So I think that the idea of using the principle, the model of how we do tourism, of how we used to do agriculture, and I'm not saying we should do it the same way. I'm saying the model, the idea of a Jamaican entity that is government organized to set up the infrastructure, to bulldoze the way, to make the road so that people can drive on it and do what they need to do. That is not in place. And
Herbie.
until that becomes in place, we are relying on the goodwill or the good luck of entrepreneurs.
I buy that too, Herbie, in the sense that since we don't have the capital and the outlet as we do in America, since the younger people, the younger generation don't have that, and they need guidance. I remember Shaggy made a comment once upon a time about, we sell reggae, but we don't sell ourselves. What he meant is that we are in Jamaica, and when we come to America, we don't know how to talk English. The guys who are making reggae music, when they go out to speak to the general public on a mic they're still speaking Jamaican.
Come on now.
Okay, so let me check it out with that.
How did Bob Marley speak? How did Peter Tosh speak?
Let me done. And so what happens when they're out there to speak and they put the mic in front of them, right? This is Shaggy says, they put the mic in front of them. Nobody understands what they're saying because they're not speaking English. Now tell me, what do you think?
Have you heard about Marley interview?
Yes.
Okay.
But I think
I just blow up your point.
I think Bob
here's the thing.
very clearly.
So let me
very clearly. Yeah.
Let me spin that slightly different for you, all right? Bob Marley was very clear that he was not going to compromise himself by trying to go talk English a certain way to suit certain people to get blah, 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 right? However, Bob Marley had Island Record as the voice to go talk behind the scene, in front of the scene, right? And they marketed Marley as a novelty. Boy, listen to him, watch him dreadlocks and weed, blah, blah, blah. They marketed that, right? Marley was no fool. He knew what was happening, but he knew how that was going to be beneficial to him and his offspring. My brethren, you know Peter Tosh, and you know how Peter Tosh resisted a certain kind of marketing and so on, and also how that produced and what he did differently. So the idea that you must go and be able to speak like I'm speaking now and differently, right, is flawed, because I can go talk the way me want to talk, as long as me have my brethren who is on this side right? Master Herbie Miller can go and tell the people who need to hear and who need to understand
And translate
need to
for
fork
me.
up the cash and who need to fork up the appropriate marketing and who has the control, who has the ears of the radio and other players so that we can get it done. So it's a multi-pronged thing. It's not a one-way thing. As a Jamaican, me need to market myself like a Jamaican. Talk like a Jamaican, walk like a Jamaican.
And your support, it's your support system.
But we don't have the supportive mechanisms. And all I'm saying is that we need to get that supportive mechanism. And the private sector organizations, and I know there's an organization called Private Sector Organization.
Hold on there. All right. So see, the man did a sweat and say something. I don't allow him to say it.
All right, let me drink some water.
Listen to them.
All right,
I'm listening to them.
Respond to them anyway.
Hear me now. And you ever heard a Peter Tosh interview?
Yes.
What do you hear?
Peter Tosh.
No. How does he come over?
Peter Tosh can talk the English where everybody wants.
Is the most articulate artist I've ever encountered.
Yes.
The most articulate artist I have ever encountered.
That is 100% true. I wouldn't go as far as saying the most articulate, but he was extremely articulate.
Well, I would go that far.
Well, you used to manage him, so you know the difference.
I'm not biased. No.
Listen, Peter is one of my favorites. So let's just go that way then.
That aside, the beautiful thing about Louise Bennett is that she made us, those of us who are like that, confident in our own tongue.
Exactly.
We don't have to talk no English to no guy nowhere. Let me tell you something. You ever encounter a Chinaman in Jamaica, you have to sat them on and laugh after summer market. They do not speak English, they speak Chinese and they speak patois. They go from Chinese to patois, they bypass English. I was on a stage in Osaka once, trying to clear it of some children. And I was shooing them off the stage, like, you know. And a dread come on and say, "A fool for picking them here." That was a true born Japanese, never been to Jamaica before. I can tell you so many stories of people who aren't Jamaicans. They don't want to hear Jamaican talking English. They don't want us to behave like them. They have taken what we have given the world and made it theirs.
They want us to be authentic.
I was in Spain some years ago, and I heard a Naya Bingy band about the 4 days on this festival ground. I said, "What's we set a dread on now?" It's when I go down there, not one black man down there. Bare white man Rasta, chant down Babylon and lick some pipe and ball down to Selassie. And I beat the bingy like you'd never believe. So what we have given the world is not a music, it's an entire culture.
Culture, yes.
An entire culture. And let me also say this. While I respect the Marley clan for being as entrepreneurial, in fact, this set, as capitalist as they are, many other Jamaican artists, not just Shaggy and Sean Paul and the young Marleys, but many others are marketing themselves, are doing extremely well. They're not broad like the Seans and the Marleys as yet. I hope they will become. But they're doing very well. They're not suffering. And they're traveling the world.
That's the entrepreneurial spirit I'm talking about.
We've always had it. Nobody no love own property and house more than Jamaica. You guys know that. You live far. I mean, no, sit down with partner welfare. So the point is this. We are those kinds of people. I am not waiting on PSOG.
Okay, it's so I am not saying that.
Let me talk, man. I quietly listen to all three. I am not waiting and putting my chips on the table for PSOG.
And I agree with you.
I am not waiting on the government. But let me say this on behalf of Minister Grange and her ministry. Never in the history of Jamaica as a minister, been so forthright and supportive of the creative industries, and in particular, the music.
Agree.
That's why Jamaica today Kingston has the distinction of being a music capital of the world. That's why reggae is on the UNESCO list of indigenous music.
Yes.
And
you're muted. We're not hearing you. Unmute. Okay.
I am comfortable with where the different tiers and stratas of the entrepreneurial skills of our artists are. None of them suffering. These aren't the days of producers running things. Artists run things today, not producers. They have split that. And you talk about Whalers. Whalers, Prince Buster was the first.
Why you keep unmute? Yes, you keep muting. We're not hearing you. Oh, you're unmuted, but we're not hearing you.
You're hearing me?
Yes, we can hear you. Yes.
Okay. Now,
you break up again.
Prince Buster was the first one to take charge of himself. He is sound system operator, record producer, singer, DJ, name it, jukebox operator, distributor. Buster did it all. The Whalers were the second one to take charge of themselves. It's like slaves freeing themselves from plantation. They didn't wait for emancipation. And today, most artists aren't waiting on any Coxsone and Down or Duke Reid or Pottinger or Sly and Robbie. They are hiring and producers and owning themselves.
All right.
We spoke about banana. I will add sugar cane to that.
Yes.
What good is banana and sugar cane into modern Jamaica?
Okay, I need to answer you now.
Yes, please.
Because you're off on a different tangent. You missed my point completely.
No.
Hold on. Let me explain. Let me explain. Let me explain.
Banana and these things. Banana is a voting block. Reggae musician not voting for nobody.
All right. Can you just hear me for a second?
I'm going to hear you as I've always.
Okay, go ahead now, Luther.
My idea is not about the product. It's not about whether it was banana, alumina, tourism, or anything. My idea is there is a roadmap to get to international markets, operating out of the basis of government-supported foundation. It is not sole foundation. It is a support. I'll give you one example. Electricity. If we don't have electricity across Jamaica as an infrastructure, we cannot function appropriately in the rest of society. If we don't have roads as an infrastructure, we still have that kind of problem. And all I am saying is that there is need for some kind of infrastructure to support the broader development and exportation of Jamaican music and culture to a broader audience on a broad level. So it's not, I am not advocating that we sit and wait for governments to do things, because it doesn't work like that. I am advocating that there is a combination of things. The private sector organizations, they have lots of funding. They are entrepreneurs themselves, and they can get behind helping, funding, providing venture capital for young people to break out and do the things they need to do.
I want to recognize some people who are watching right now. I want to say thank you so much for watching. Beverly Frey, Valerie Richards, thank you so much for joining in. Lorraine Miller, Henry, Melody Barnes, good day to you. Capone McCullough, good day. Steve Patterson, good day. Amina Wilson, good day. Taste of the Caribbean Arts and Culture in Connecticut, Hartford. Good afternoon and thank you so much. Alita Martin, good afternoon. Monita Clenham, good evening to you. Did I say morning? Good afternoon, good evening, I mean. Adrian Schiffling, good day. Michael Coronaldi, Chevron E. Davis, or is Cheval, rather. Marcelly Sterling, good evening to you. Pelly Curtin Barnes, Tara Fisher Jackson, Trevor Minu, Bump Lamarche, William Stewart, Willie Stewart, good evening to you, Willie, how you do? Patrick Robinson, good evening. Errol Campbell, Lawton Wilkinson, Henrietta Walker, Rosemary Horton, Clifford Porteous, all of the persons who are out there watching and listening. I have a comment here. When I say academy, I meant referring to the sector, like the tourist sector Elaine spoke about, that will be responsible for all aspects of the music, including protectionism, marketing, curating, etc. France, as an organization, oversees the French language, all aspects of it. We need something like that for Jamaica. We don't have to follow America to go, plus private sector should be the entity to protect and support us. Let me see if there's anybody else out there. That's it so far. That's the comments. But I welcome you for any other comments. We'll read them as soon as we capture them. Thank you so much for joining. I want to go back to my original question to this man, to Herbie, where mentor music
Mentor come from?
No, so you know.
I don't know. You think know? I know? Opportunities are today open to reggae musicians and the creative industries more than it has ever been.
True.
Let me tell you that. They have through the Ministry of Culture. In fact, as I sit here, there are seminars going on all over. The minister has an advisory board chosen across the demographics on how to advance the culture and the music.
But you're leading an organization that's called something museum, Jamaica Music Museum.
Yeah.
Tell me about that. I don't think anybody knows what it is.
Oh, God, you're chopping up this thing so much, man. That man can't make a point.
Yeah, I want to move away from the business. I'm going to something new now, a different segment. So tell me about the music.
The private sector organization and the government together have not so far been figured out a way how to erect a museum for music and our sports, for that matter, in this country. Two of the main drivers of Jamaican culture internationally. So I'm not sitting and thinking about PSOJ. We have to figure out how to do it for ourselves.
I agree.
Institute of Jamaica, where the Music Museum is located, has over the years acquired small properties around its initial building, out of which different museums operate. While the Jamaica Music Museum does not have a space to really exhibit like a museum in Toronto, for example, or the Met or the Grand Museums in Paris and across the world, what I have done as the leader of that institute is do exactly what I just showed you. How do I use the artifacts we have to talk about where Mentor come from? How do we use the information I have to talk about the socio-political, spiritual aspects of music? How do I get people to understand music beyond it just being something to have.
We're not hearing you. Unmute, 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 unmute. There you go. Now unmute. Unmute, unmute. There you go. All right.
Now,
yeah, that's really nice that you said what you're saying.
Now, let me say this. Oh boy, you hearing me, guys?
Yeah, man.
Yes, we can hear you now.
Right. While I get back to where I ought to be, I don't even know the picture gone. As long as my voice is there, that's the important thing.
Okay.
So museums are spaces for educating people. And while everybody is claiming that they're setting up a museum and they're doing this and they're doing that, it's more than just a space in which you put up something. You got to use that something as a tool of education. So let's go to mentor music. Mentor music is a sort of, well, let's start with the banjo, a very integral instrument in reggae music. The banjar is what it was first referred to. It emerged, it went through changes until it becomes a banjo. It was basically a gourd with a stick like a broomstick and a few pieces of horse mane as the strings. It was called a strum because you strum it, strum. That's what was seen on plantations in places like Jamaica. It graduated till it becomes what we know today as a banjo. The rumba box, also key to the mentor. Rumba box only came in at the end of the 19th century. After emancipation, Afro-Jamaicans migrated to Havana, Costa Rica, South and Central America, where they encountered this instrument. They brought it back to Jamaica. In fact, it's called a marimba box. A marimba box. We brought it back to Jamaica and we call it a rumba box. It comes out of something we call a thumb piano in today's language. If you look at a thumb piano that you see them guys walk up and down and play, it's just a handheld rumba box. The rumba box is the big brother of it.
Okay.
The mentor itself has a sound like rumba, tango, etc. If you hear the way it sounds, they're all coming out of Congo, mento, Congo, rumba, Congo, tango, Congo, among other musics. And so the Europeans who also influenced us on the plantation days, they added their melodicism to it, what Rex Nettleford called the melody of Europe and the rhythm of Africa. And that's the sound of mento. And mento is a 19th century form of music before it emerged, before ska came around. Yeah. But you have Eto, you have Komena, you have Revival, you have so many other forms
are those Jamaican, the Revival and the...
Every single thing I just said is Jamaica.
Whoa. Okay.
How did you say Rex Nettleford described it?
Of Africa.
He described our culture, not it, our culture.
Oh,
the
okay.
melody of Europe, the rhythm of Africa. Are we not?
Interesting.
Okay, just look at you sitting there. Look at you sitting there. What do you think you represent with that hairstyle and the style of clothes you wear, the way you carry yourself? That's the melody of Europe. But look at how you speak and dance and talk, and when you just let it all hang loose, you're Miss African. Yeah. Something like that.
That's nice. That's very nice. Why did we stop the mentor? Because that sounds so sexy. Actually.
It's not stopped. In fact, I just this week I am employing a mentor band. It's not stopped. But I tell you what, here comes the Ministry of Tourism again. Once they incorporate something, it whittle down. Take John Canoe. John Canoe was a powerful statement, but it came now under the management of the Ministry of it became a tourist thing, like the Bahamas, and it's lost its spirituality, its depth, its function. You ever see the houseboy in the John Canoe? Inside of that house is a doll. Inside the navel of the doll is some resin. In Congo, it's called an enkisi. If you go into your African museums and see these little effigies with the nails all in it and the metals in it, that doesn't look so pretty through Western eyes. And when you look in the navel, you see a reflecting mirror or a piece of resin. It's magic. It's a power piece. It's the enkisi inside of the Congolese culture. That's gone. That's all gone. It's really just not even children scared of it anymore. We used to run as children, and you hear just the fife and the drum, you're taking off. Today is a joke.
Yes, it is.
It's really watered down. It's watered down.
So Elian and Luther, have mentor in Canada and in the spin-off. Have you seen it? Luther, you're on mute.
I don't see mental as an active art form, but it doesn't mean it doesn't exist.
Will you repeat that, please? You don't see
I don't see it as an active art form being practiced generally, right? I think the idea that the Ministry of Culture or whatever the body is that sort of took Mento and some of those music, Hokomania, etc., under its wings. It's a matter of preservation, because the young people that Herbie talk about, that used to run when the Jankuna start come down the road. That thing isn't happening anymore because the culture has changed, and in order to preserve it, somebody have to do some kind of infrastructure to care for it. And so that although it's not exactly what it was, there is some semblance of it that we can understand and know that this is ours. And then it comes out for the researchers to go and find it. When Miss Lou went and dug up some of those digging songs and folk songs, they were not being practiced across the metro in Jamaica. She went out, she did her research, she found it, and she brought it in. And because she was able to use her voice on her platform, it became popular again, right? But when I was growing up on Herbie, you know that when you hear the fifer come down the road, you kind of know what's coming.
And you take off.
The said under this, under that, you know that.
Yeah,
that
but
does
that's
not
still
exist
happening
today.
Absolutely practice. It is. Jankuna is still happening today.
Not in regular practice.
No, he's saying that it's not.
It used to be all over the place. It is okay. It is sort of like when I was growing up, there was Robin Redbreast. How much do you see Robin Redbreast right now? That was a Jamaican staple, right? There was also the time when you were walking in the pastures and it was only Blackbird that was there picking ticks. But where are they? So as we evolve, things change.
Modernism took them out.
Yes. So if we were able to have the infrastructure to preserve, like the museums do, so that we can go and look at it, over time when those things sort of fade out, we still have artifacts to guide us. And that's one of the valuable, that's one of the value of having historical institutions. institution to provide historical reference
practice.
points with artifacts, etc.
Yeah, definitely.
So that's why the work you do there is good.
So what about ska? Is ska popular in Canada?
I have no idea why Jamaica don't have a million ska bands.
Right.
Okay, so I could look at Mentor and say, okay, maybe
It's very old and so on.
yeah,
but
and because we don't have the same, and banjos are very expensive, and we don't have the same amount of banjos available, and we're not teaching it, so people not learn all of those things. Ska, I remember when I went to study in Wisconsin at University of Wisconsin, the amount of ska bands that came into that campus to play, and I'm looking, and there is nobody black in those bands.
Yeah,
and they are killing ska.
Yeah, and so ska can make a comeback and be a.
It's not even a comeback. Ska has never gone anywhere.
Yeah.
It is all over Europe.
Let me just put it this way.
Yeah,
we don't have Sunday dinner in Jamaica no more. You got Kentucky Fried. If you ever see the motor vehicles lined up out there on a Friday evening and a Sunday evening, black streets.
It's actually quite sad. I've seen it. It's actually quite sad. But you know what, Herbie, I just want you to tell me again, what was the tumbo thing you were talking about?
What?
Something about playing the tumbo?
No, the rumba.
Rumba
No,
box, the rumba.
no, man, it wasn't rumba. It was, and then you said there was a takeoff of the rumba box.
Oh, the
finger.
Oh, the thumb piano.
The thumb piano. What is that?
Just Google it and you'll see me.
Tell me, man.
It's in certain parts of West Africa, you have what you call a jolly or a griot. Some play the big chorus, a huge gourd with many strings and a long neck. And they are walking encyclopedias of the history and culture of the various kingdoms. And they extol the greatness of their culture. And it's long narratives, epics. But there are in other cultures where they use just a thumb piano and do the same thing. And you can Google it yesterday and listen to it. It's in, you know who was famous for that in Western music? Maurice White in the Earth, Wind and Fire. All right, yeah, he did that as well. And many percussionists, if you see those very eclectic bands, you'll see it there.
Okay. Thank
but
you,
that
sir.
too is
Alvin from Burning Spear and Boris Gardner used to play that sometimes.
There you go.
As a part of the.
I gotta tell you guys this. There's someone who wrote on our YouTube channel that says, Elaine and Luther, thanks for disagreeing with the comment that Jamaica believe that we are the best of everything. His name is Reggae Boy. All right, Beverly says, Herbie missing the point. We should not wait on the PSOJ and the government to do the reggae.
Me? You hear me suggesting that? Whoever that person is a deaf person.
Okay, all right. Beverly.
It's the last place I'm waiting on.
Right.
On the contrary, it's Luther who is suggesting that.
That's
Hold
right.
On. So I suggested that they have a role to help to build the infrastructure. And Herbie said, we don't want to wait on them.
All right, so
it's not about waiting on them. It's about having more tools.
It's about engaging them. And I agree with you on that. We should try and engage them. Now, let me say this, Luther.
All right. So hold on. Let me get some more comments here. There's Media Bill says, creative industry needs support and infrastructure, transparent granting, corporate sponsorship, and more of all that's needed. It's a fair thing to say that this would mutually be beneficial. Arlene William. Oh, Amari. Hey, Amari. This is a young guy. It's a 17-year-old. Amari, love him come from, he's born in America, in Orlando. ATL. What's ATL again?
Atlanta.
Atlanta.
Yeah. he listens to ska, rocksteady, and reggae. Thank you so much for joining us there on YouTube. I so appreciate this. Thank you, Sharon, for tuning in, and thank you for reminding me. I see Molly on. White English bands are all over Europe right now. We have to keep them coming in for me, guys. Thank you so much. All right. So
let me just make a point here.
Come on, go ahead.
There was a recent president of the PSOJ, Howard Mitchell, very progressive man. And he arranged for a number of us to come to the PSOJ and more than once for meetings. He encouraged us to be a part of the PSOJ and to form something like a business organization. He was the only one who really was pushing it. I don't think his constituents.
Yeah, but that was forward thinking, though.
I did say he was a very progressive man. I am saying, on the other hand, I don't think he got much support from the privileged.
So here's the thing now, you see? I know that there are influential people in the Jamaican power structure.
Send them here.
This.
Send them come.
And wait. And I'm trying to get them to come right now.
You're trying to get them.
They're listening to this. Some of them are listening to this. And it would be good if they would take this as a kernel from which to jump off. I don't even want them to give us credit. Just do it.
What's in it for them?
What's in it for them? What's in it for them is Jamaican music benefits. And when Jamaican music benefits, Jamaican export benefit. When Jamaican music and Jamaican export benefit, Jamaica as a whole benefits from it. Tourism benefit, because if we're producing tourism product that are going out there and people are saying, they will come to Jamaica to enjoy the product and Jamaica itself.
But that's already.
This is a win-win-win situation.
You can't pitch it as a social responsibility, though. Entrepreneurs at the end of the day are entrepreneurs.
Money, right?
Seriously.
But let me ask this question.
The point is this. The point is this.
Go ahead.
Everything that was just said is happening, and they don't have to invest in it. Now, I'm sure there are businessmen and women who have assisted the industry. They do sponsorships. They get something out of sponsorships, though. The value of Jamaica in general rides on the back of our culture. It's the greatest advertisement this country has ever had for music culture. So they are benefiting. But what I hear Luther is saying is that they should get hands-on involved. These gentlemen have other things. They're doing plantation things. They're running big corporations as big as they can be in Jamaica.
They can be venture capitalists.
Well, let me ask,
they can be venture capitalists. They can provide the funds. They can provide the funds that small entrepreneurs can access to do the things that they need to do.
I'm sure many of them have. I'm sure many of them have.
On a larger scale.
Let me ask this question. Hold on. Let me ask this question. Are our concerts, I know what Sunsplash did to Jamaica, for Jamaica tourism, for Jamaica music industry. Are the major concerts that we're having, because we have a whole heap of them in Jamaica, are they doing anything for Jamaica in terms of music advancement, in terms of cultural advancement?
They're doing everything for Jamaica. They're bringing visitors into the country. They're advancing our brand globally. Everywhere you turn. All of us know that Jamaica is not an unknown entity. It punches so far above its weight, its size, that it boggles the mind of larger country. I was teaching a class when I lived abroad, and it was called Reggae, the Voice of the People. And the very first day of class, I try and show them Jamaica on the globe. And this guy from East Africa said, "You lie. Jamaica is big. It is big." And I said, "Well, come up here and show it to me." It just itch upon the Hispaniola between Haiti and Cuba. I said, "That's it. That's the big thing. You couldn't believe it. So we're not suffering. What we do not have is what Luther wants us to have, the sort of old-time dynamic sounds and treasure isle. That doesn't exist anymore.
That's not what I want. That is not what I want. No,
allow me to finish.
It's not what I want. No, you cannot finish when you start off on a premise that is wrong.
Talk when I don't talk, brother.
Go on.
Yeah, I don't have that anymore. What I'm hearing is that the big companies in Jamaica should be investing in this thing. We don't speak the same language. We don't drink at the same bars. We don't know each other as such. And those who have made it their duty to support the creative industries, they have not gone in to the degree that I think they ought to. For example, take a catalog like the Treasure Isle catalog, Studio One catalog, Mrs. Pottinger's catalog, name any of them. Why isn't one of the big companies, and I've said that in different forums, investing in somebody like Luther or Elaine, among others, to say, look, all those tapes sitting dormant in these vaults, I would want you to be a part of my staff. I'll give you an office. You can go through the vaults, and I'll pay the original heirs of the producers to produce deluxe edition box sets with updated liner notes. Look at this thing I'm showing you. You know what this is? It's a 2 CD set called We Remember Bob Andy. Remember it. Try and find it. This is the vinyl copy to it. All right? What VP Records did, by the way, Luther, you alluded to them earlier on. They are the biggest independent distributor in the world right now, you know.
Mm-hmm.
They acquired Greensleeves, and you know the Greensleeve catalog. Yep. So they have all of that. So they came out with this thing, all right? And it's not just a box set with blank paper. It has the sort of annotation that ought to be there. Mm-hmm. We have so many different products to repackage, redistribute in pristine, going back to the master tapes, remastering, what you call audiophile, compact discs, HD, high definition compact disc, and vinyl. Premium price for those people who have the $50 and $100 a piece turntables. They'll buy them. But we do not have our local entities doing that, Luther. I wish they would, but we're not going to sit and wait.
Am I hearing you say then, Herbie, that reggae has evolved not just in the business of singing and entertaining, but rather in a variety of avenues, a lot of different.
Look at the attire that so many of us wear in the world. Us meaning not me and you. Those peoples of the world that attire themselves in colors that we introduce in the world. They walk like us, they talk like us, they behave like us. That's a huge, powerful thing we have given the world. And if our local entrepreneurs at the highest level,
are we making money from it? Do you think Do you think we're making enough money from it? I guess that's what the top of
what is enough? Let's not say enough. Are we making money?
It's the talk of the town. It's that we're not capitalizing.
No. It can be monetized way beyond where it is. But those young people in the business, they're not suffering. They're doing quite well. And they're not waiting on government, nor are they waiting on private sector. They are their own bosses. They do their own thing. And they do pretty well. They tour, they record, they do combinations with foreign artists. they're really doing well. Does that mean that you don't have people suffering? Yes, especially some of the older ones. And that's where, again, I must give credit to this Minister of Culture and her ministry. She does everything to take care of every one of them in the industry.
Why are you so quiet? I don't like when you're quiet.
I like to listen and learn. I'm learning from my superiors.
There are no superiors here, really.
Whoa. Can I talk about yourself, Saloni?
We don't know who
Yes, I'm learning.
But it's really nice to get this kind of spin from you, Herbie, because generally in the diaspora here, people beat down the whole idea of we are not capitalizing on the goodness and the asset that we have. We hear that all day long, right? And we don't have a way of marketing and monetizing effectively. So people are taking our culture and using it for their own advantage rather than us. And so I remember a guy at one of those Afrobeat guys saying that for example, that reggae belongs to Africa. I don't know if you remember that.
Sure, man, nobody follow them like a joke of them.
But these are the kind of...
Just as we should not say Afrobeat belongs to us, by the way.
We should not say that either, right?
No, because contrary to Luther's argument, Afrobeat is not a new thing. Fela was never signed to any big label. And Fela is the
Fela was not the only one. He was not the only one. I'm just saying those people who are in the camp, the intersectionality cannot be avoided. You cannot avoid it. It's kind of like when Marley and others used to listen to the music coming over the AM airwaves, and they used to hear music coming out the country, and Western music or the variety of music that was coming through.
No Afrobeat though.
No, but hear me. Those influenced what they produced. And all I'm saying is that you cannot experience something and learning does not occur.
I agree with you on that.
Okay, so because that is true, and because when we learn, we tend to change our thinking or our behavior, our actions. If I learn that a certain riff sounds good, when I'm making my next song, I am going to try to incorporate that riff my way.
That's cool.
And that's the intersectionality that produces a new sound. And a new sound enhances whatever we have here, right? We cannot move away from the responsibility. You've been touting Blsck Grange significantly.
Minister Blsck Grange.
Minister Blsck Grange.
Thank you, sir.
Yes. And I support that 1,000,000%. Okay. But she is also providing some kind of infrastructure to support the music, to support the culture, to advance it. And we have to be grateful that she's doing that, because not only is it preserving the culture, it is taking it to a different level where
what if she leaves office? What if she leaves office?
What if she leaves office?
We just hope we'll get someone who will continue along those lines.
And what you think that we shouldn't be hoping? We should have a permanent infrastructure in place.
Exactly.
She has her succession plans. She has good people around her. She's not doing it. She isn't doing it on her own.
Yes. So all I am saying is this. If it works there, we should be able to use that model elsewhere in our society, because you cannot operate without the kinds of infrastructure.
It can work for us too. We don't have to invent any wheel. Wherever something works, let's see how it can work for us too.
Yes, absolutely.
What I'm saying and what I want us to be clear on is that Afrobeat is not a new thing. what has emerged out of ska is what we're experiencing today. So if a fifth generation ska band comes along to claim that it's a new thing, it's not. It's it derived from. Now, hold on. Now, today, young Africans have incorporated aspects of dancehall into their Afrobeat using modern instruments, not the old Afrobeat instruments. Same like dancehall, people using modern thing, computers, etc. Not all-time instrument like Scatterlights, to make something new. But to say that Afrobeat comes out of Jamaica, I do not support that.
All right.
You guys can, I don't.
All right. So
it
question.
has aspects, it has incorporated aspects of what we have done.
Just I think we agree on that. I think we agree on that.
All right, well, let me make a very controversial statement. Nobody not take people things like Jamaica and take it and turn it into what we want to.
So let me ask you this. Can they take reggae music from us? Anybody?
Nobody can take away anything from you. Let me ask you something.
What do you mean by take from? Jazz? What do you mean by take from? Because I would say there's a yes there.
Saying, Luther, it's like you have some people saying people thief for culture. Nobody can thief your culture. Nobody can thief your music more than we thief other people.
True. However, as we talked about earlier, there are ska bands all over Europe making big dollars.
Yes.
And they're playing ska.
Yeah.
Which is coming out of Jamaica.
They didn't steal it.
You can't say them thief the music and I do with it. But they didn't thief the music. They didn't thief the music. The music got a hold of them. Okay? One good thing about music, when it hits you,
we dash it away.
No pain.
We threw it away. And we kept it.
We put it out there. We put it out there. And they saw it and they liked it, they tasted, and they went with it. And they used the infrastructure that they have in their place.
Who's this gentleman?
They use the infrastructure that they have in their place to make it work.
Let me introduce you guys to an extraordinary saxophonist, a professor of music abroad, visiting just for a week to do some research on rocksteady music. Just left Leroy Sibbles' house and come check me.
The Dan that house him left.
Saxophone man who play reggae. The last time he was here sitting in with Mystic Revelation. But Scott can't thief for business anymore than we can steal him jazz from him from America.
Oh my God. Well, you know, ska is a very unique transition music, you know. Ska, not ska, but rocksteady. Both of them are transition. Would you say?
They're all transitional.
No, ska wasn't transitional, you know. Okay, let me rephrase that. Everything is transitional.
Rocksteady is.
Yeah, everything is transitional. Once you progress in, there's a bridge that made you go there.
Yes.
But ska lasted on the pop scene longer than rocksteady, as officially rocksteady. But rocksteady has never gone away.
None of them gone anywhere. The problem
in the Jamaican popular music.
Talk to your friend, man. Ask him 2 questions.
Where's Elaine? I don't like her not seeing Elaine.
She's there. She's there.
I'm not seeing her.
She play cute.
I am very much here. I am very much hearing you, Herbie.
I like to see your face. I like facial expression. So when Luther gone now?
Maybe it's your device. I don't know.
I was sitting, Leroy Sibbles and I were sitting together 2 Monday evenings ago at the Bob Marley tribute concert. And when he said to me, on my bass line, that again, you know, that was about 12th time. So everything is a transition. But what Leroy among others, Robbie and all of them, also need to say, is that we pick it up from Brevet and Blues Miller and some other, and Jackie. Leroy just, in fact, he just came back from Leroy's. He's doing a book on bass lines, and he just left Leroy's house to come here. So
beautiful.
Everything is a transition. Let me give you a joke. How much song you think Scatterlights writes for themselves? How much?
I'm being facetious. Leave me alone. Go ahead. Say it.
30 or 30.
No, I'd say half of them catalog don't belong to them.
What?
But guess what? About half of everything you hear them play come from somewhere else. But let me say this to you.
Yes.
That's not important. What is important is what they have
made it
done
there.
with it. That's what is important. Interpretation. Now, there's a famous little song you say, and I'm sure Luther know it. James Brown sing a version name, I think it named Night Train. Night Train is a 1930-odd song that emerged out of a Duke Ellington band. It was called East St. Louis Toodaloo. What is East St. Louis Toodaloo? The train that passed through St. Louis and go toodaloo, toodaloo. And the saxophone player was Ben Webster, and he blew that little riff that says, da 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 da. And when he left the band, another guy came in from Chicago, whose name slipped me now. And he had to play the same riff. Like what Luther just talked about today, a nice riff. But when he left the band, he went and cut the first version of Night Train. Jimmy Forrest. Thank you, my brethren. Jimmy Forrest. Him cut the first version. And when Duke man them said, but Duke said, just leave him alone. None of you did it. He did it. Let him be. Duke Ellington realized, as most great musicians do, that there's always something for them to take and make their own. Always. Take that little song called by the Pointer, not the Pointer Sisters, the Staple Singers. They came to Jamaica. They heard Liquidator. You know that, Luther.
Yes.
They went back where they came from, and the producer who produced it was also in Jamaica. He said to the bassist, I have this, they actually listened to the record, you know, and they did what they do with it.
That's a rock song, by the way.
Yes, but they turned it to, I'll take you there.
Yes.
You understand me? So when you start looking at music like that now, is either everybody is a thief, a borrower, a beggar, a taker, or we are all just musicians?
Yes, creators, yes.
Influenced by everything.
It comes back to my point. Yes. You cannot get away from intersectionality. And you cannot get away from, if you have experienced it, there is learning coming from it.
We have 5 minutes left, guys. So I'm going to take a wrap up from each of you. Thank you so much for being here tonight. So I'll take, you know, she sat there all evening just listening
the whole 5 minutes.
Stopping up what everybody said. So I want to hear her first. Stop up and just play out for us. Play out for us.
I yield my 1.5 to you, Ellie.
Listen, I'm thankful for being a part of this panel. I've learned quite a few things, and I have a few nuggets to take away. Thank you, Mr. Herbie, sir. You know, I'm pretty much used to Luther educating me on the music anyway.
We're in the same neck of the woods, eh?
Yes. But you know, guys, I just want to say that my thing is support. My word is still support. I would like to see some sort of infrastructure that nurtures the young artist, that helps to develop that talent, that helps to get it out there, to market it, and to expand it. right? I mean, the other day, for example, I heard Kabaka when he won the Grammys, and he said in an interview that, you know what, he's still trying to figure out what it all means.
Mm-hmm.
He should not be figuring out what a Grammy means to him. The moment he's nominated, that support should know what it will mean if he wins. And it's all systems go to capitalize on that win. Those things are not in place. In Canada here, we have the Juno. What does it mean for Esca Levi to win 5, 6, I don't know if about 10 now, Juno Awards? And still, it's not recognized and given the respect and the airplay and the exposure of an artist of that caliber. I can't turn on mainstream radio and hear a Esca Levi. I can't turn on mainstream radio in Canada and hear a Tony Anthony. I can't hear a Tanya Mullins. I can't hear a Steve. You name it, right? And these are Canadians producing great reggae music. So again, my word is support. We can't think about marketing without thinking about access and who the gatekeepers are and how to tap into that. And you mentioned earlier about the American market, and it's a whole different animal than say Canada. And I can speak to Canada because I'm Canadian. This is where I am. And I see how the music is suppressed here.
Okay, thank you for that. Thank you for that. Luther, you have 1 minute. She eat up 3 of your minutes. So you have...
I am going to maintain that we need to have the kind of infrastructure, we've heard it. I also believe that we need what in North America is popular, coined as venture capitalists. People who are willing to invest. They might not have the technical skills themselves, but they can hear from the artist and invest and help to make the production become real and help to get the production out to the rest of the world, and also to use their influences in places where the music gets aired so that it happens. The entrepreneur spirit is fighting and thriving, and that's why you have gazillion hits on YouTube and all of the various places that they're streamed. And I'm grateful for this opportunity. I thank you for including me in this company. And we need to continue this dialogue in a different way.
Excellent.
All right?
Different space.
In a different space.
All right, Virgin.
All right.
Okay, Herbie, take it home.
All right. Infrastructure. Let us think of this. Jamaica, who has given the world so many great artists. And if we should ask one of our luminaries, let's say Jimmy Cliff, our Spear, to come home and do a command performance, guess where we're going to put him? We're going to put some bamboo around some beach and tell him that's where he's going to perform. We don't have infrastructure, Luther, infrastructure, not even a place to perform. Look at what we have done.
Why are you making my point for me?
No,
why are you making my point for me?
Because it's my point too.
Aye.
It's
all
my
right.
point.
There you go.
Kabaka Pyramid, my dear Elaine, was only being humble. He's a very humble brethren. Him not going to toot his own off. But like both of you, give thanks to the
That
Lord
wasn't
for
the
having
point.
us.
That wasn't the point, though, Herbie. But anyway.
You go on.
You know that right now.
We're going to ask our host to bring us back on, and let's talk about infrastructure, support, and so on. If you send a reggae musician to a bank right now, they can't get the money.
That's why I say we need the funding.
It's not funding we need. We need to figure out how to work with a system that was not put in place for us.
Yes.
When a businessman goes in,
why do you want it? Is it to get funds?
We need, let me tell you something about us. We need to do the kinds of things. So when you're publishing, for example, your royalties are considered by the private sector as an asset.
Yes. Yes.
You're making a point too.
But that's what That's the infrastructure that they're talking about.
But I'm saying
that academy, if it's together.
Thank you.
There's a way on them thing going on that you guys we're going to talk about next time.
All right, so we'll formulate another one, and we can come back and sit down and talk.
But thank you all, and nice meeting you, Mr. Lee, and I'll tell my darling wife that I met a third Ilian Thompson.
Yes, I hope to meet her.
Yeah.
All the listeners and viewers, thank you so much for joining us this evening.
No, take it easy.
Thank you. Happy Reggae Month and happy Blsck History Month. Have a nice
Great
day.
hosting.
Wonderful.
Great hosting. Thank you.
Good job,
Yes,
good
man,
job, my
take
brother.
care.
Good job.
All right.
Cool.
Yeah. And don't forget, we learn whether we think it or not.
Yes, my brother.